Secure, Contain, Protect. That is the motto of the SCP Foundation. But what exactly is the SCP Foundation? First of all, what is an SCP? SCPs are everything and anything anomalous. Anomalous meaning an adjective that means different from what is normal, usual, or expected. It describes something that strays from a general rule, pattern, or standard. The standard and rule being the laws of physics and reality in this case, such as immortality. Now, an SCP could be anything from, I don't know, the embodiment of all evil, or it could be when the sun turns into a giant heat death laser beam that melts everything it touches by the week. Now, the possibilities are endless. Anyways, the SCP Foundation itself is a fictional secret organization with the goal to secure, protect, and contain the anomalous. It serves as a premise of the SCP Wiki, a large-scale collaborative fiction project launched in 2008. The SCP Wiki is made of thousands of articles, short stories or tales as it's called in the wiki itself, and extensive world building in the form of consistent groups of interest, places of interest, and important characters, such as the O5 Council, the mysterious group leading the SCP Foundation. Now, within these articles contains their own separate world, an alternate universe per se, which leads to the SCP Foundation having no complete canon. Although that does not stop individual writers creating their own canons, perhaps through connecting articles or simply writing article long enough, such with SCP-5000. A more notable entry as the article itself has been turned into its very own graphic novel. Apart from being one of the largest books of collaborative fiction out there, the SCP Wiki itself prides itself in being high quality of its stories, with most works sticking to horror genre, be it psychological, supernatural, more psychological, or even body horror, and, well, the good old murder monster trope. Although, tucked neatly into its own categories are the comedy articles, the others that simply try to be funny by subverting expectations of being the stupidest possible. Now, I'm not going to give an example, because I don't want my sense of humor being on the internet, 'cause it could be very cringe, to say the least. Now, why exactly is the SCP Foundation so interesting that I just had to make a video on it? Well, that lies in multiple things, actually. One of the reasons I've gotten so into SCPs as of now is because of the writing style. It's very analytical and sciencey, making it seem like I'm reading a science journal every time I read an article. And this gets proven within its own world building. For example, they have quite consistent measuring units based on their own levels of reality, such as Eve or Elan vital energy, Hume, Akiva radiation, aspect radiation, and many more that I won't touch on. Other than these measuring units, there are special classes of objects. For example, an antimemetic, a cognitohazard, a info hazard, kinetohazard, and honestly, if I go through all of them, this video is gonna be way too long and I'm not gonna have enough time to edit it. But if you wish to see all these, there is a glossary. It's on the SCP Wiki, I will put a link. Whilst this glossary is very helpful in learning the basic subjects and measurements, there are some terms that you will see which you won't find the definition for within this glossary. Of course, the one helpful thing I find is that there's usually a very, very, very good citation. And if there isn't, well, fuck. You're gonna have to go into context or you're just gonna have to deal with it. Now, the second reason I very much enjoy the SCP Wiki is due to the creativity of each writer. One of my favorites is an article Fractals, SCP-9001. Now, within these articles, there are gonna be more than just a few measurements or a few units. There will be characters. Now, these characters can be divided into a couple classes per se, that being D class, Scientist class, Site Directors, MTF, and the O5 Council, which are just a couple of the most important ones. Of course, there's more, but these are the main ones I'm gonna be listing for now. I might explain more later, but let me give you a quick little rundown. D classes are death row inmates given the Foundation to perform test and potentially dangerous activities. Now, while I say given, it's more so they acquire it through negotiation with governments and things. They're basically the guinea pigs for the Foundation. Most articles will contain at least one D class getting killed. Now, next, there are the scientists. They are the researchers that fuel the Foundation's efforts and are the only reason we have articles in the first place. Now, on top of these few classes, they're most commonly divided by access levels or research levels or security clearances from 0 to 5. 0 being reserved for non-important personnel, those with no need to access important files such as the janitorial, clerical, and logistic positions. Level 1 security clearances are given to personnel working in proximity to, but with no direct or indirect or informational access to anomalous objects or entities in containment. Level 1 security clearances are typically granted to personnel working in clerical, logistics, or janitorial positions at facilities with containment capability or otherwise must handle sensitive information. Now, Level 2 security clearances are given to security and research personnel that require direct access to information regarding anomalous objects and entities in containment. Most research staff, field agents, and containment specialists hold a Level 2 security clearance. Level 3 security clearances are given to senior security and research personnel that require in-depth data acquired in the source, recovery circumstances, and long-term planning for anomalous objects and entities in containment. Most senior research staff, project managers, security officers, response team members, and Mobile Task Force or MTF operatives hold a Level 3 security clearance. Level 4 security clearances are given to senior administration that require access to site-wide and or regional intelligence, as well as long-term strategic data regarding Foundation operations and research projects. Level 4 security clearances are typically only held by site directors, security directors, or MTF commanders. Level 5 security clearances are given to the highest ranking administrative personnel available within the Foundation, and grant effectively unlimited access to all strategic and otherwise sensitive data. Level 5 security clearances are typically only granted to O5 council members and very, very select staff. Site directors are researchers with the highest general position being in charge of an entire site, a site being a sort of research facility for the anomalous, or a warehouse for the anomalous. Now, the site directors are the highest ranking personnel at that exact location consistently, and are responsible for the continued safe operation of the site and all of its contained anomalies and projects. All major departmental directors report directly to the site director, who in return reports to the O5 Council. Next are the MTF, or the Mobile Task Force. They are specialist units comprised of veteran field personnel drawn from all over the Foundation. These task forces are mobilized to deal with threats of a specific nature and can include anything from field researchers specializing in a particular type of anomaly to heavily armed combat units tasked to secure certain types of hostile anomalous entities. Next, there are also field agents. Field agents are the eyes and ears of the Foundation. Personnel trained to look for and investigate signs of anomalous activity, often undercover with local or regional law enforcement, or embedded in local services, such as emergency medical services and regulatory organizations. As undercover units, field agents are typically not equipped to deal with confirmed cases of anomalous activity. Once such an incident has been confirmed and isolated, field agents will typically call for assistance from the nearest field containment team with the means to safely secure and contain such anomalies. The last way is the O5 Council. It oversees a committee consisting of the highest ranking directors of the Foundation, with complete access to all information regarding its anomaly. The O5 Council oversees all Foundation operations worldwide and directs its long-term strategic plans. Due to the sensitivity of the positions, the O5 Council members must not come into direct contact with any anomalous object, entity, or phenomenon. Furthermore, the identities of all O5 Council members is classified. All Council members are referred to only by their numeric designation, aka O5-1 through O5-13. Now, you won't see this level of detail in any other collaborative fiction book. Maybe some co-written books here or there, but not an entire fictional universe containing thousands of articles, hundreds of characters' identities, and hundreds more of measurement units, dimensions, series possibilities, and in general, a whole system of how it works. And to see all of this being written by more than a few authors, the SCP Wiki Foundation is made up of hundreds of different authors, all vying to create this beautiful, amazing piece of work. All of them have this one simple goal of creating the best possible work they can and making it the most interesting thing they can. Which is exactly why you totally need to read this. And now, to help you understand how to read this, here comes the segment where I talk about how simple it is to navigate the wiki. So, the SCP Wiki itself is broken up into various sections, the main one being the SCP by series. It is contained by 10 series, each with the capability of holding 1,000 articles. Now, starting from series 1 it is the oldest and, most notably, the simplest of the bunch. It contains your general murder monsters, your machines that do a bunch of random stuff. And now, 10 being the newest, it has let's say, more complicated ones, such as 9001, the fractals. Those being about fractals that escape into reality and start mixing together with reality. And it talks about psychological stuff, basically. Now, these articles vary in length, complexity, and play tryouts, and a bunch of articles actually have very unique each website layouts. They have the capability of being the standard articles or the very different type of articles. I've even found one that contains itself into a choose your own adventure text game. Now, despite all of this, one fact remains the same. It's that they detail some kind of event, object, or entity, whether the object is detailed through an event or the entity is described by the event the main identity or the main anomalous happening of the entity is described through an event. They all aim to describe the anomalous. Now, separated from these 10 series, articles can be sorted into -J or joke articles, L- or lost articles, and -EX or explained articles. Now, joke articles are self-explanatory. They are articles that serve as this sort of comedic feel instead of anything actually scary or anything that is deep and meaningful. They're joke articles. Of course, I have not read all of them. There might be some that are meaningful, there might be some that are scary, but most of them are just straight funny. Lost articles serve as the home of articles that don't quite fit into the usual article format. Therefore, they gain their own category, basically the other format. And EX or explained are, well, anomalies that have been explained. Well, now, here's the complicated part. The explanation itself doesn't have to be rooted in our understanding. They can be rooted within the universe's understanding itself. Therefore, the explanation itself can be anomalous. It's just the fact that it is explained because we understand how it became anomalous, why it is anomalous, what the anomaly exactly does, and they are, in short, they're SCPs with a strict canon backstory created by the author. Now, moving away from the general article format, we get to tales. Tales are their own thing in a literary sense. They have their own style separate from any articles. And the main point is tales can be in the form of poetry, comics, audio logs, or the usual, the most common, short stories. Now, these tales can be their own standalone story, or a different way to continue the same plotline, or some SCP's story before they become an article, or just a general deep dive into the SCP. This leads me into the SCP series not to be confused by the SCP by series. The SCP series are collections of SCP articles and or tales that combine into one cohesive plotline or universe. The entries within each series most often share an author or groups of authors. That's right. Within this collaborative fiction project, there is more collaborative fiction projects. And most of the time, they exist in their own little bubble of time or space or whatever they decide. Maybe, I don't know, it's a secret war based on confusion and information. Or the constant skirmishes between Foundation and some random dark magic hoo-ha cult. Now, all of this is simply proof of how deep the wiki goes, and honestly, I haven't even dived that deep yet. Mainly because I don't know either. I'm still very new to the SCP Wiki, but maybe I'll find out one day if I keep diving deep enough. Now, with a site of this proportion and a fiction this popular, surely there should be some spin offs. Well, there are plenty. Be it in the form of short films or series adaptations. There's a lot, really, and I can't really fit all of them into here because either all of them are very niche or I'm just too lazy to edit all that. But I can give you a short total list. Now, first of all, we have one of probably the most popular. It's called There Is No Anti-Memetics Division. It is a 4-episode sci-fi horror web series based on offer QNTM's popular SCP Foundation stories, blah blah blah. It released in March 2024. It consists of 4 episodes that follow, well, the Anti-Nomadics Division, which is a division that focuses on objects or entities that actively prevent you from thinking about it. Which, I'm gonna be honest, sounds like a crazy, crazy, confusing premise in of itself. Secondly, we have a game, actually. SCP Secret Laboratory. One of two of the most popular containment breach style games. Now, the main premise of the game is where the SCP Foundation has a containment breach of the anomalies. Players within the game are separated into 3 or 5 factions, depending on what we consider a faction, really, but it's mostly 3. Now, the 3 factions are, first of all, we have D-Class and Chaos Insurgency into one. Chaos Insurgency is basically a group of militants that have one goal, and it's to spread chaos. Now, these Chaos Insurgency have the goal of saving the D-Class and killing the MTF or the Foundation personnel. Secondly, we have the MTF and the site personnel, which you know of already. And lastly, we have the SCP. Now, the MTF and site personnel have the goal of escaping safely and killing all D-Class and SCPs to secure the containment breach. Lastly, the SCP, they want to kill everything. They just want to escape and kill everything. The game focuses on a point-based system based on kills and escapes, but most of the time it's gonna be based off kills. So if you like that type of game, you should try it sometime. Thirdly, we have a graphic novel, SCP-5000. It details the events of SCP-5000, an alternate universe where the Foundation is a bit quirky. If you want to get the details, you should read it yourself. It's the original articles on site, or you could, in general, just buy the graphic novel if you so please. I assure you, it will be a very good read. Number 4 on the list, we have Confinement, a YouTube comedy series based on the SCP Foundation and a D-Class named Condor, cursed with immortality, and its wacky, zany adventures as a Foundation test subject. It ran from 2017 to 2019, and I myself have not watched it because I'm new to this, but it looks funny, it looks good. It's probably mostly for comedic value more than anything. So if you want something comedy based around SCPs, give this one a try. And now the last one I will talk about is SCP Overlord, a 2020 short film about an MTF raid on a house occupied by a local cult performing cult activities that result in the happenings of anomalous phenomena. It's 35 minutes long. It looks cool as hell. It's action thriller, and honestly, I think it would be very. Now, the SCP Wiki hosts various writing contests, with plenty of different themes and genres. These contests have also been used to determine a few special SCP slots, such as the first SCP of every series starting from 2 up until Series 10, with the latest edition, of course, being Series 10, and the latest competition being Series 10. Now, on top of these contests, there have also been translation projects, with the site being split into 2 main branches: the articles that were originally typed in English and the international branch, with articles that have been translated into English from other languages. It is split into 17 sections such as International, Russian, Chinese, Traditional Chinese, and Czech, which as of recording has no translations, and others. which we just called Others. It has random sci-fi languages like Klingon, I don't know, and the International Galactic Alphabet, which I'm pretty sure is the one from Minecraft. And now, the best part of it all is nothing here has been touched by AI. I know this because the SCP Wiki is a purely human-made piece of fiction. It has a hard ban on the use of AI-generated media, and in general, AI tools or tools that have the main use of generative machine learning, which means that, I don't know, unlike certain establishments, the SCP Foundation cares about human creativity and actively awards it instead of AI generated slop. Now, the Foundation Wiki also hosts a plethora of wonderful user generated art, all contained in the Art Hub, which I assure you would be 10 times better than anything AI can make. That's all about the SCPs I like to talk about. And I'd like to wrap it up with, I don't know, a little montage of some of the SCPs I like the most. This will mainly just be this just quick scrolling throughout the article with no reading or anything, but that's all, folks, really. Signing out. It's your boy. Maybe. And that's all, folks. My name is Patman, and that's been a series. An SCP series.